All right, guys. So we're on the last question, and it's the proof question. And I probably would have left this question until the end, and that was just my recommendation. So we take a look here and we read it, and it tells us that Jill wrote a proof. Okay, great. She did all this stuff over here. And then they tell us that she started with the fact that AD is parallel to BC. So the first thing you should do is you should mark that. AD is parallel to BC. Now right there, when you see two parallel lines, when you see these two parallel lines, you have to recognize that this is a transversal. And if you want to move the paper this way, you could do that. Two parallel lines, and this is a transversal. Well, if these are two parallel lines, and this is a transversal, then I know that these right here are alternate interior angles, which I know are congruent. They also tell me here that segment DC is parallel to segment BA. Well, here is DC parallel to BA. So I know that these are also parallel. So again, I have this line right here with these two parallel lines. This is with this transversal here. Well, if I have a transversal and two parallel lines, what do I have again? Well, again, I have alternate interior angles, which I know are what? Which I know are congruent. And in the end, they asked me to prove that angle A is congruent to angle C. They want me to prove that angle A is congruent to angle C. There's one last thing that we also need to mention here. Notice here that we need to mention here. Notice we know that this line here is congruent onto itself. So right now, if we wanted to prove that that these two triangles are congruent, we could prove that they are congruent by the angle side angle rule. And this angle matches this angle, this side matches both, and this angle matches this angle, angle side angle. So we know that it's congruent by the angle side angle rule. And they want to know, well, what does it tell me about, the question asks me, which of the following correctly replaces the question mark in her proof that it says triangle ABD is congruent to triangle BCD. ABD is congruent to triangle BCD. So they're saying, how can I prove that these two triangles are in fact congruent? How can I prove that they are in fact congruent? And the answer is looking at you dead in the face. And that is the last question for the Chapter 4 assessment